Joe, I don't think that there is a question that he should be the number one guy going into the season here.
No, I'm surprised Elks made a comment in the chat that he better not be our number one. I can't think of anybody else that's more deserving of being the number one skill player in the SEC. His impact as a, mind the joke, 17-year-old freshman, he was younger than everybody else on the field. The way that he was just so naturally able to take over games is something that we've never seen before. It's one thing sometimes when you see these kids that are like really just naturally good athletes. They have a couple of big games as freshmen. Him taking over the Georgia game will be forever ingrained in my memory. He can make unbelievable catches. He is dynamic after the catch. He's a great route runner. He does everything to eventually become a top receiver in the sport. Him and Jeremiah Smith, who Jeremiah Smith is obviously ahead of him, are going to be so highly sought after when they both declare for the draft in 2 seasons.
So Ryan Williams last year as a freshman in an offense who, Joe, quite honestly, couldn't throw the ball down the stretch, had 865 yards on 48 catches and 8 touchdowns. I do think a lot of situations last year where they struggled offensively is because they couldn't find a way to get him the football. I do think that in the system and with Grubb coming in and with the quarterback play that I do think that you can have there, I do expect him to take a bigger step forward with a quarterback in Jalen Milroe who, and a lot of times, Joe, could not throw the football in key situations. Forever in my mind, I think of the spin move against Georgia, right? Yep. Like I think of just the outright ridiculous plays that he made down the stretch. Like I think of the ridiculous play against Tennessee where he caught a fade route in the back of the end zone, but he didn't have a lot of help from his quarterback. He didn't have a lot of help from a lot of people, and he still was able to be very productive. It will be very interesting to me to see a quarterback that has better ability throwing the football, what they can do with a kid like him. And listen, in a Grubb system, we've seen receivers literally go off. And I think that he can have I think that we saw glimpses of him, okay, even with him almost having double-digit touchdowns, by the way, but we saw glimpses of him. We didn't see the full thing because of the inefficiency of their offense, and I think that is why he will be in that situation. You can look at the Georgia game and say that that in the beginning of the season they were okay. Well, that's where he had his most production. Down the stretch, against Oklahoma, he could not find him. I mean, the one ridiculous catch he had against Oklahoma was called back. So Ryan Williams, for me, is the best skill player in the SEC, bar none.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that you just mentioned there, though, is that you have Ryan Grubb, Jalen DeBoer, obviously from when they were both at Washington. The receivers coach's name is escaping me at the current moment. They have had, when they were at Washington, they had 3 guys that developed that weren't premier recruits that went on to be highly drafted guys in the NFL. Romeo Doubs is going to be great this upcoming year. Jalen McMillan was one of the biggest late-round steals for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Jalen Polk, I think, still is going to improve and get better. And everybody's kind of been out on him, but he's still a dynamic player who was a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. I say this to say that wide receiver development has been Grubb and Jalen DeBoer's greatest trait, even more than quarterback development. I think we get so hung up on Michael Penix doing as well as he did, and we don't give the credit for the receiver development. Receiver development is hard. It is. It's really hard to take some of these recruits and to get them to play to their potential. I implore anybody to go and look at the past recruiting rankings of the receiver position. Those guys typically don't pan out. A lot of them don't. A lot of the best guys end up being 4-star, 3-star guys. So Ryan Williams, who has this unreal skill set, who enrolled really early and reclassified, had 1 season and an off season, now gets a whole nother offseason to build up his body and to be ready to actually be a true playmaker instead of just a young dude who's balling out. I think we're going to see a completely different level of production. And we're going to be talking about, did you see Ryan Williams and what he did last week every single week?
Let me throw this one thing at you. And I've never brought it up.
Oh, I meant to say Roma Dunze, by the way. I said the wrong thing. Go ahead.
I know what you mean. People know what you mean. If they're okay. One thing that I will throw out there about him that I do think that was a struggle for him, even with Milroe, when you had a physical corner on him, He did not like it. He didn't like it at all. Now, again, I say that, but how big is his all season? How much strength can he build? Can he put on a little bit of size here and keep that electric speed and dynamic playmaking? He's got to get more physical in this league. Like Joe, like we talk about that Tennessee game as an example. They bring him to the opposite corner because, I mean, listen, physically they were getting up and jamming him, and they didn't want him off the line of scrimmage, and that's how they got to him. Again, he's a young player and a young kid, right? Not a lot of people come in like Jeremiah Smith. I still think that the talent is next level. How can they do in a second year with him at wide receiver? All right.